The battle commenced at 8 a.m. The Union forces had an abrupt start to the day as Sherman's division of 3 brigades on the extreme right of the Union line heard the sudden crack of tree branches from the odd shot and whiz of undisciplined musketry, along with the barking of officers' commands resonating in the still woodland to their front. Suddenly, the leading elements of Polk's and Hardee's Confederate Corps were bearing down upon Sherman's division, and the men of his brigades had to scramble from their tent lines and assemble, as best they could, along the Shiloh tributary as a seemingly endless tide of screaming Rebs burst through the trees. One of the Union brigades was so surprised that they were unable to fire a volley before General Pond's Confederate brigade were among them with the bayonet. A jolting and vicious melee ensued, and McDowell's hard-pressed Union brigade gave ground grudgingly, but in good order. The remaining 2 Union brigades, supported by 2 batteries, had more luck, their volley and canister fire shredding the Confederate first wave at close range, throwing the enemy back just 40 yards short of the river gully. A bloody tied line of gray and butternut bodies, lying mute witness to the robustness of the Union defense. This Union success was short-lived, however, as by 8:30 a.m. Buckland's and Hildebrand's Union brigades had to give way and were pushed back upon McDowell's rallying brigade, where they reformed alongside. The new Union line, bloodied and with some battalions low on ammunition, was now formed just to the north of the Shiloh Church and a little to the south of the east-west Purdy-Hamburg road. This road was the key Confederate objective, for now still in Union hands. There followed a brief lull in the action as the victorious leading brigades of Pond, Cleburne, and Anderson looted the overrun Union tent lines. Around 9 a.m., a dense mass of fresh Confederate brigades pushed through the now disorganized first wave, and with a blood-curdling rebel yell renewed the assaults on the Union lines. For the next 40 minutes or so, the antagonists blazed away at each other, largely blinders. Such was the density of the trees, undergrowth, and the all-encompassing powder smoke. Casualties mounted nonetheless as the ranges rarely exceeded 50 yards. The Confederate command and control at this stage was now an issue as their brigades became intermixed in the confusion of such close combat, and brigade and divisional leaders could not find their commands. The Confederate artillery found navigating the Fort Forest Road difficult, and they soon became backed up in the rear, making them unusable in supporting the brigades of Hardee and Polk. Meanwhile, to the north of the fighting, deployed in depth in their encampments over a distance of 1,500 yards, stood the Union Division of McClellan. Joined by their commander, General Grant, they began to form up as the sounds of the battle to the south grew in intensity. McClellan's brigade then got a rude awakening as to how near to them the battle was advancing when the men of McDowell's brigade came running toward them. Since being surprised by the initial Confederate advance, despite them temporarily rallying around the church, the last hour's intense firefight and the relentless Confederate pressure had seen McDowell's men broken and running for the rear. Grant, an excellent horseman, rode among the fleeing troops, waving his hat, shouting to the retreating men to rally. Incredibly, they did so, forming on the right of McClellan's fresh division. It was now approaching 11 a.m., and the weight of the Confederate numbers was starting to tell upon the remaining 2 Union brigades around the church, both now much depleted in men and ammunition. The Union line fell back upon the Purdy-Hamburg road, and the Confederates had gained their first objective, albeit with some severe losses, and their men in some disorder and nearing exhaustion. The brigade of Anderson had taken 50% casualties. Anderson had advanced his brigade as the tip of the Confederate spear relentlessly all morning,